hear us?
Hello, guys.
Hello. Yes, they can hear us.
Yo. Let us know if you can hear and see us fine. If there's any issues, you can hear us. Just
Okay.
you, Albertino?
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Albertino. Hello, Canelopoulos.
Hey, guys. Loud and clear. Okay, that's good.
Okay, that's
Cool.
good.
So I guess we can wait a couple of minutes, right? See if,
Yes.
yeah, more people get in. Everyone can say from where they are from. Meanwhile, actually, maybe everyone can tell us their favorite game.
Oh,
Since
that
Oh,
would
that
be
would be
cool.
Carolina is a game dev too, so that's
I like that
that would be
idea.
nice. Yeah, I really like. I mean, I really like more pixel art kind of games like Undertale. But
I
I'm not a
I
like.
guess my favorite game is Mario Kart, and I don't play
Oh.
video games a lot.
What
Yes.
about you, Carolina?
Well, I love VR games, so I would say one of the first one that really impressed me is Super Hot VR. You have to try
Oh,
it. It's a
okay.
I
game.
haven't tried yet.
It's
No, me
a
neither.
shooter game, and the thing is that the time stops if you don't move. So then you can plan when you want to move and turn around and
Ah,
find out
that's
who's
nice.
behind you.
Oh my
No,
god,
no
that's so
one can
fun!
kill you.
No, you just stay. But then every time you need to look for someone, time moves again.
It
Oh,
looks really cool. Oh,
Mm.
and in the chat,
so
let's
fun.
see. We have Contra. We have a classic. FIFA, God of
Good
War,
game.
Minecraft. Someone really likes Super Hot in the chat. Like really likes Super Hot too. Some people really, yeah, a lot of people love Super Hot actually. That's cool.
I
I'm really
feel,
bad at Mario Kart because I'm used to Crash Team Racing.
yeah, me too. But it's so fun to play.
Yeah, it is.
Silent Hill. Oh, sounds really cool.
Okay, so we should check the audience permissions. We have, I don't know what's a handout, so I'm going to close that. Polls, no, we don't want polls. Q&A, yeah, the Q&A chat is open. You can also chat with the
Yes.
presenters, but please don't do that while the presenter is speaking because you're gonna distract her. And we have the public chat, blah, blah. Perfect. So we
Everything
have
seems to.
60 people. I guess it's um,
Do you want to start or want to give 2 minutes?
maybe, yeah, 2 minutes and
2 minutes?
that's it,
Okay.
right? So that it's
Okay.
5. I mean, the number is increasing, so we should have more people later.
Okay.
Aaron,
Cool.
don't play with the raising hands, Aaron, please. I don't know where you
I
can
mean,
do that.
it's okay though. We
No,
just won't
just
do anything.
kidding. Because I
Um,
remember last time someone was raising the hand a lot, and it was very weird. Okay, reactions. Perfect. Everything is set. Hi, Murilo. We have a lot of friendly faces here and a lot of games that I've never heard about in my life. I feel so, how do you say that?
Someone wants me to wear glasses. But I have some VR glasses if you want.
Yeah, but you're not gonna see the presentation
No.
like
oh,
I think we
that
should
howl looks
start.
so cool. Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see. How many people do we have now? Oh, we have a lot of
Yeah.
people online. So, hey guys, welcome. We are here for another Lunch and Learn from Microverse. Right now, we are based at Brazil, Mexico, and Denmark, and all over the world with the people and the students watching. Here I'm Sarah. I'm a student from Microverse. I am with my co-host Majo, and with our presenter for the day, Carolina Bermejo from Meeting VR. So, but before we present Carolina a bit better and let her actually lead this super cool lunch and learn, Majo will give us some context about the Microverse and why we are hosting this webinar. So
Thank
go
you.
ahead, Majo.
Yeah, well, what can I say about Microverse? It's a great school. But first of all, Microverse is a program for remote software developers that it's completely free until you get a job. How cool is that? We have different courses from data structures, algorithms, Ruby on Rails, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Redux. We have everything. I really like the program because it's very complete. And I must add that we have a wonderful curriculum specialized on social skills, which is a plus in this industry. And so how this works, we go to school full-time from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And we meet every morning and every evening with our stand-up team, which is like a group of 5 to 6 people that you will go the entire course with. And the rest of the day, we meet with our partner and we code with them, which is a very good experience because during the program, you can, I guess you will have several partners and you can learn or teach them depending on your level. And that's a wonderful experience. And you also know a lot of people from a lot of places in the world. And every couple of weeks, we organize lunch and learns like this one with speakers like Carolina. And the goal is to inspire other students by giving them different perspectives from professional software developers who work remotely, people who work as freelancers, or cool companies like Carolina's, and also open source projects. And we also open these lunch and learns for people from other places, general public, because we want to inspire them as well. So hi, everyone, and welcome to this lunch and learn. Now back to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Majo. So we are here today to talk about the future, or actually the present, about virtual spaces, VR. And the one that will talk to us about it today will be Carolina Bermejo. She's working as a Unity C# developer at Meeting VR for the last 2 years. They just released it, actually, their open beta, I think like 2 days ago. So it's a really exciting and really busy time for them right now. And before I let her actually start talking and about all of her history as a game developer and as a developer of that kind of super immersive software and experience, I want to tell you guys that if you have any question to Carolina during the presentation or right now even, you can leave the questions at the Q&A tab besides chat. And we'll have about 15 minutes or so to answer all of your questions after the end of the presentation. And if you see any question that you really want to be answered, you can always upvote it, so it will have a bigger chance of Carolina to actually noticing it and telling you all that you want to know. So Carolina, you can go ahead and tell us about what's up with Meeting VR.
Hi everyone. So my name is Carolina. I have also studied once online, as you guys do, and as many people suddenly had to be forced to move in this crazy year. And since I experienced that first, I went crazy about it. I'm a big passionate about remote collaboration and about how technologies in general help us bring people together and make it possible to collaborate in projects all over the world. This brings many opportunities, and this brings us developers closer to projects that could be anywhere. And this makes us be able to find where our profile matches and find something that we can really make like we can feel part of. Oh, sorry, I have the Q&A here. I will try to keep a look at it, but I also have to look at the camera. So, well, and as just
it's okay. We can do the Q&A after the presentation. Don't worry about it right now.
Sure.
Everyone will wait.
So, yeah, as you mentioned before, remote collaboration is not the future anymore. Microverse is an example of this. So congratulations for this project. It sounds really interesting. And Meeting VR, the company I work at, is another example that by now you guys can imagine what it is about. So I will talk about it later. For starting, and for most of this presentation, I'm gonna walk you through the journey that brought me here to Denmark and to study games development. There are many things I want to talk about and there is not much time, so I will go more in depth later in the Q&A. And feel free to contact me on Twitter or LinkedIn. About me, it has many names, but we would say I'm a mixed profile. That's what I usually say. So that means I have many different interests that at first might not look that are related to each other, but that eventually brought me to a place and a field I like to be at. And that is helping me discover more and more things where I think I can make a difference, more and more projects and technologies that I think match my interests and what I like to do and what I'm passionate about. So anyways, no matter if you are a specialist and you know where you want to be in 5 or 10 years time, or if you are like me that have different interests and sometimes might feel a bit lost and don't know what's your position within the developers community. The important is that you set yourself some objectives, some goals, and work hard for them. And then once in a while, what I would recommend is to look at that, look at what you have been doing, and try to figure out if the different interests you have make sense with each other, and if there's a connection, if there is something out there already working, or if there is something you could bring to the industry that puts together these interests. And both for people that specialize and people that draw from different backgrounds, it's very important. I would recommend that you follow people on social media, on conferences, anywhere, at talks, and find out what their background is, what they do at their job, how does their profile look like, and try to get inspiration from there to build your own path. So yeah, I don't know if I have enough time to convince you that all the different educations I've been through and interests make sense together, but at least I will try. For starting, when I was in school and high school at the beginning of my university studies, I studied dance professionally. It's not something that might look very relevant for the work I do today, but I'm still very interested on movement, on how people interact using their bodies, and about how people use the space. And this is something very important in VR. And it does make sense that I like this kind of interaction more than the traditional sitting on the computer one, right? Also, a dance is created to be performed to an audience, and this is something very important we have to keep in mind also as software developers, that when we create a product, it's for an user, and we have to design keeping that end user in mind. What I always knew is that I wanted to make an impact. So when I chose education, I thought, how can I create something that other people enjoy? How can I make an impact? And I decided to start programming. Yeah. I did not think about the part where things don't work and bugs come out of nowhere back then. And that made me very frustrated and confused at the beginning, but it's getting better now. In general, my education in Madrid, the city I'm from, was very high level. So we didn't have that much hands-on work, and I didn't feel like I got very ready for the industry. I did get to do some, not games, but some graphics moving around in one of the courses. And I got to learn and grow interest about robotics and AI. But mostly I just got the basics of logical thinking and programming. Also, I was a bit unlucky because I got a student's job in a very big corporate company. And there, some other interns got to more interesting departments, but I got to a department that was very stuck. And every time I was asking for a job, I wouldn't get because they didn't have time for that. And when I was doing job or when I got some job, most of the time was just getting data from a database and sending it to customers again and again and again. So that didn't help me to feel more confident about being part of the industry. Another thing I did during that time was some contacts. I was not aware about the need for networking or stuff like that, but still I was going to tech events with my classmates. And apparently, as I found out preparing this presentation, I was posting on Twitter as a, a tech enthusiast when I found the first waterproof mobile phone, a very embarrassing picture, but it's fun to see how much I have changed. Like now when I post things about games, of course, I'm aware that people from the industry are gonna read it. So I didn't know what to do next, but it was clear for me that I needed to broaden horizons. I also talked with some friends and some people at this company, and everybody thought it was a good idea for me to move around, experience new things, and then figure out what I wanted to do with my life. So I started volunteering. The first place I went to, it was a lot of work, almost full days, only 1 day off per week. So I didn't really I brought an old laptop with me, but I didn't really have time to work on any project or something like that. But still, from the experience there, I learned a lot of stuff, and I got inspired for continue later on with my education. Especially because at this place I also saw how some teachers and educators that were coming into the community to help would use games to teach people and make people communicate better. So there is when I got interested in serious games for the first time and started looking at programs where I could learn about them and finding out about companies. After my time in Ireland, I joined different summer schools in Korea, and that was a lot of fun. We were very busy. We met a lot of different groups of kids would come every different week, and we would play games with them, do a lot of activities, go out to the playground and run around, throw water to each other, whatever. This was my first time experiencing giving lessons to kids. And even though we didn't stop, I felt full of energy, and I got very interested about how games help people socialize and to form bonds. even those games that I was playing as a kid, and I didn't think about more anymore. With all this, I decided to continue volunteering, but also continue with my education. So I saw this opportunity of studying online so I could continue traveling. And I started taking a master on teaching Spanish. And the experience was great. I made great colleagues. And at the same time, I got to start teaching English lessons after school in Madrid. After one course doing this, I moved to Iceland, and I didn't do anything tech related there, but I just mostly figured out that if I could survive in the winter in Iceland, I would be okay moving to Denmark. That was my final goal already by then. So that's what I did. And as my thesis project, I built an online platform for a classroom. I made a website, and I got some students from different places to try it out. It was a very short course, but I enjoyed the experience a lot. And this is when I went back to programming after a long break. And also, as you can see in the GIF I put on the presentation, I tried to link social media interaction to the program. So I see it now and I think like, oh, kind of I was doing some marketing or self-promotion there already, which was not my intention at all. I just wanted people to talk to each other. So after this teaching experience and being abroad, I could have decided to go to Denmark already and study games. But I also didn't feel that ready. I haven't really been programming for a long time, other than just putting that web app together that didn't have much functionality anyways. And a job opportunity came thanks to a contact. Well, if I don't say it in the presentation because I don't have the time, I think all the jobs I have had have been through contacts. So it's very important building a network of people that trust you and knows you and believes in your skills. So yeah, I had this friend that during this year when I was studying, teaching and researching technologies and trying out these kind of things, he was working at this company called Robotic, and he was talking to me about it and telling me that I should join. So this year that I was free, I decided to join and wait a bit to start with my games studies. And that was great. At that company, we would teach kids after school programming with languages kids friendly. Like here you have a picture of how Scratch looks like with programming blocks. We also teach them robotics with things like Lego we do, where you can connect motors and different elements and connect them to your program. And we also taught them a bit of basics of video game design. So here, even though when I had to go to a school on my own and teach the class there, but still we got to do some meetings and some formative sessions with all the teachers. So I met very interesting people, and I met people that had done studies using Unity. I got to know people on hackerspaces, people with many different projects, and actually start realizing the network that was in my city and I was not aware of. So at the same time I was doing this, I actually started taking some courses focused on video game design and development. I started to follow my first Unity tutorials, and a really cool moment was I also joined some friends to a robot fighting competition. We made our own robots in the university and had it fighting with other ones. And yeah, it was a disaster, but it was a really great experience, especially seeing how everybody there, all the participants, they just wanted to share the experience and talk about and have it, and show their interest on how different teams would build their robots in different ways. So maybe at first I would have been afraid of thinking that I would not be good enough for that, but the environment was not like that. So anytime you find an opportunity to join these kind of events, I recommend you to go for it, because you will learn a lot and you will have a great time with people that share your interests. And finally, after this year, when I started working on different skills I would need to become a games developer, I decided to move to Denmark and joined ITU. I applied for it, of course, before that. And yeah, that was a great decision. By then, I had already an idea of my areas of interest, and I was really looking forward to start working in projects with groups with people with different backgrounds, because so far I had only been in contact or working in projects at the university with other programmers. But what I like about ITU is that there are also artists, sound designers, level designers, game designers. There is people with all these different kind of backgrounds, and we are allowed to work together. And that's exactly how the experience in the industry is later on. So this is very valuable. And of course, all the courses were project based. So basically, we had the freedom to work on whatever we wanted, as long as we could learn and put into practice the principles we learned in the lessons there. So yeah, I got to play a bit with robots at ITU as well. I got to program alternative controllers, which is something is very creative, and that opens for a lot of different experiences and possibilities. And I love, you can see in the picture, we were showcasing a game at a festival, and the game is well, it's placed in a bike with a box. So we would driving around the screen, and it also has arcade controllers. So that yeah, it's a really cool design from the Copenhagen Games Collective here. And another thing I did was joining a lot of game jams, hackathons, any event I could participate at. This is a great way of building a network, and also of testing different technologies, putting some time aside to try to do something that you don't know if it will work or not. And if it works and you like it, you can continue working on it. If it doesn't, you get the experience. And you also get to try out other people's games, and people get to try yours. So it's a really cool experience. And there are also game jams and hackathons online happening all the time. So check them out, as well as conferences and different tech events. What else? Oh yeah, I also got the great opportunity of being teacher assistant at ITU in two different courses. One of them I did twice. So I was in charge of the sessions of programming in the lab after the theoretical sessions. And it was for the classes of data mining and modern AI for games. And yeah, that was really cool. Now I want to show you my two bigger projects at ITU. One of them, the first one, is my thesis project. So thanks to connections, in this case, a professor, I found my first job as a games developer in a health and safety company. Here I built some prototypes together with another classmate in XR using different technologies. And in the end, we went for the option of building a phone game. It went well. I think the coolest part was that we got the people that assisted courses about health and safety there to try the game, and we got real data. And it was great seeing how people that are not familiar with games got actually something out of the experience and enjoyed. The results were kind of positive. And the other project I highlight here is Spiral, the Eye from Above. This is a very special project we did at the university. It's played on a computer. And the great thing about this is that we got a whole semester to work on a game and make it from scratch, from the ideation process, deciding on the arts, the technologies, and so on, to having a product that could be presented at a games festival. So we also had to work on some marketing and so on, even though we didn't do much of that. But we got a product that had a very nice feel and mood and visuals. And we worked great as a team. And out of nowhere, because we really didn't promote it, we just did a website and press kit and so on, because it was mandatory to present for the exam. But we got some YouTubers reviewing it, and also it was selected Game of the Week on itch.io once. So that was great. And this project really made me, well, know that I enjoy game development and working towards a goal together as a team. And it also helped me to try out different roles, figure out what I like, and also to believe in myself. Because actually, I got like the main idea of it. I pitched it, my idea was selected, and then I built the team towards the game. I did some programming, I did some game design together with my group. And in the end, I did some marketing as well. And in the end, naturally, it just happened that I started doing project management. I didn't even notice I was doing it. I was just gathering everyone, planning for the next sprint, aligning objectives, and so on. I was also doing some activities for like building the team spirit. And my group told me at the end of the course that I made it very easy for them, and that they really appreciate that I was taking care of the boring part of organizing tasks and moving them around and so on. And I was very impressed because I was enjoying it so much and it felt very natural to me. So that's when I thought, okay, maybe that's something I'm also good at, like something I could consider if I get tired of programming again. That is something that sometimes comes to my mind. So after I graduated, I had many different opportunities. I had some job offers. One of them was keeping my job at this games company, but basically it was only the other student and me. And another student also joined for doing graphics. But I didn't have anyone to learn from there. And even though it was cool having our own project and having room for experimenting, I thought I would like to go somewhere where I could have some senior programmer to learn from. Also, well, in the end, because in the end, as you know, I joined Meeting VR. One of my classmates from ITU started working there a few months earlier. And I was looking for something related to virtual reality, among other things, and also for this kind of small group startup in the studio field, so I could be part of the process in many different aspects. And when I heard about Meeting VR, I went for it because it was just perfect. And here we are. It's been almost 2 years since I joined, and the application has changed so much. The technology has also changed, and the team has grown a lot. Well, now I already showed before. I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, I can bring this headset with me everywhere. Well, when I started doing some virtual reality projects at ITU, it was a whole big thing where you had to set up the lighthouses at a specific position and have a huge computer to run it and so on. So the technology is getting closer to regular users, and that opens for many business opportunities at the moment. And we also, as we mentioned, we just released our product. It's a public beta, and we are very excited about it. At Meeting VR, especially at the beginning when the team was smaller, I got to try many roles. I did some pitching of the app at events. That was very cool because I got to travel to different countries in Europe to tech festivals and VR specialized festivals, and learn a lot from people there, get to know what's out there in the virtual reality industry. I also did some sales, technical sales, some support, programming, of course. Yeah, basically we all helped each other. And then the team started growing and I could focus more on programming. And recently, in these months of craziness, working from home and having the deadline so close, I also got in charge of doing project management for the Unity team. So this came out of nowhere because of all the loads of work everybody was having, and especially our CTO. So I said I could give a hand with that, and it's going really well, and I'm enjoying the experience. It's also true that I've been working a lot, but that's how this month was supposed to be anyway. So as long as it goes as planned, it's okay. About working remotely, it's been also very interesting being able to work using our own software. And I would like to continue working remotely when things go back to normal, at least a few days per week. And of course, before, I have already been working remotely during vacation and things like that from my city, which is also great having that flexibility. And I will show the trailer just very briefly, and I will play the sound from my phone.
Imagine a new reality where you don't have to travel to work because you could just teleport there. Where you could shake your teammate's hand and feel together even if you are continents apart. Where the rules of physics don't exist. And everything is designed to make your meetings more productive than ever. Where the whole space around you is your blank canvas. And you can use your superpowers to create three-dimensional mind maps. A reality created for agile meetings, presentations, and brainstorming sessions. Where every interaction is designed to be more effective than in real life. A reality for optimal teamwork and collaboration. real.
Okay, so I'm seeing there are some questions about requirements to or advice to get a first job. So I could also say some of that later. No, I just want to mention that I also had. No, sorry, I'm not.
Okay.
Almost there. That one of the things I've also helped with at Meeting VR, because sometimes we are very few and we are very busy and so on, is giving a hand with HR and hiring people and choosing who enters different teams. So that's also very interesting, being able to experience it with my background, because the only thing I have is my experience on myself and other people getting jobs, not much. And yeah, if you want to know more about Meeting VR, you can ask me later. And takeaways, I will finish with this. I said at the beginning that I might not be able in this time to convince you that all the different things that I like make sense together. So anyways, I keep going back to them and so on. But there is actually, I have proof that this is happening, because it happens more and more often that I get job offers for roles that I didn't consider before and I never thought about, and that actually makes sense with my profile. So that's very interesting. And another thing, by being in this company, I get to know a lot of clients, make contacts from partner companies and so on. And I get to know people that also work with virtual reality and technology and business, and they have mixed profiles that somehow have led them to work on researching in solutions and use of technology for their specific business. So I get to work in here, I get to meet people with these roles and figure out that if I would also like to do something like that or not. And this way I keep thinking on my opportunities and what the future could have for me in this industry. But I really don't want to go far from technology, because it's what inspires me the most right now. And yeah, the main advice I would like to take you from here is to set up objectives. It's the same as with planning. If you do planning, at least you get aware of what you need to do to get there to the results, and having a goal on which position you want or which role you want will also help you to take the steps and reflect on what you need to get there. Thank you, and yeah, you can turn on the camera again.
Okay. Oh, I really enjoyed your talk. Sorry for interrupting you, but I was going to say,
no problem.
Let's leave the questions to the end, because yes, I saw that question. Everyone is asking a lot about that. So, but I wanted to say a few things that I really liked about your talk. Something that doesn't make a lot of sense when you say it at first, but then it's amazing. Games help people socialize. You said that, and I was thinking about that. And you might think, oh, gamers are alone in their houses and they don't interact with anyone, but there's a whole community there. And what you're doing, it's making it more real, if you could say that, because virtual reality makes like everything so much real. And also you said that, or you emphasize how important it is to build a network. And we have a lot of questions about that. So I would like to think about that, to speak about that first. What do you think? So there was, I'm going to sum up a bunch of questions that are related to the same topic. And the first one would be, how do you network? And how do you go about it in practical terms? And what kind of people would you recommend to network with?
Okay, so there are different options. The way I go about it is actually is the same way I go about going to any social event. So I go to places, let's say a game jam or a conference, and it's not like I have an objective of I have to talk to people, I have to get these contacts or things like that. But it just happens that I talk with someone, I'm trying some technology, someone comes by, they talk to you, you introduce each other. So basically, it's just like getting to know people. And also, many of these times, of course, we keep in contact and we actually become friends, or we follow each other's progress on social media and get to know what they are working on. So this way, if you see someone that is working on something, is posting about programming, about all the things they do in their job, and someday you see that person posting that they are looking for a job, of course you will help that person, and if you know of some opportunity, you will tell them. And I think this works very well in this industry, that people tell each other what they are looking for, and if they ask if they could be interested. Also, another way of networking, because I work on a startup, I get to know a lot of investors. We have a board of members. We have different investors that join the project at different stages. And it's also really good to talk to them, because they also have different companies with, different contact with many other companies and startups. They know the field, they know how the situation is, in this case in this city, for example. So that's another way you can go about focusing on the business part.
Okay, thank you. And someone's asking something related to what you just said. Do you go to game conferences or places, game jams, something like that, where you can meet other people in the industry?
Yeah, of course. I have also volunteered at many game jams and these kind of events. And usually when I volunteer, I also try to find time to make my own game or try out something, because it's more fun like that. Then I have something to show, and that's always great. And otherwise, I get to try other people's games and get to know them. And also, a good point of that is that when you volunteer, you get to know the volunteers team, that are, of course, also people with the same interest and contacts and within the industry. And also people get to know you better, because from all the attendees, everybody will see that you are one of the volunteers, and they will go they will get close to you and ask you questions and stuff like that. So that's a very good way of making yourself noticeable out there and get to know the community and enjoy it.
Do you have specific names of these game jams that you can recommend people?
Yeah. So one I like to attend to every year is Global Game Jam. And it's held in January, something like that. So it's a good moment after the Christmas break or winter vacation, because then you can plan, okay, when I'm back from my vacation, I will join the game jam. Otherwise, you will always have something to do at the weekends and things like that, and you will push it. Another good thing is that it happens everywhere in the world. How it works, it's not intended to be online. It might have ways to join online. Otherwise, what you have to do is each country or different cities decide to host the event there, and then you can join there. You can go to their location or also probably join online. And then in your event, you will get the showcase from that place and so on. But online, you can follow what's going on all around the world. And on top of that, it's free. So that's amazing. Also, here is very well known Nordic Game Jam. That one you have to pay for, but it's not that expensive, keeping in mind that you get a lot of talks and workshops from people in the industry, and you also get food and stuff like that. So you can be just focusing on building your product while you're there. And events, for example, one of the last conferences I went to was in September, yes, Unity Unite, and they organized it in a few different cities in the world. I think it's Tokyo, Copenhagen, somewhere in the States. I don't know, there are a few places, and it is really great. It's non-stop talks about all the new features of Unity and examples. You get to see the people that work there showing you how they work in their demos, giving you tips. It's an amazing experience.
Okay, thank you so much. We have a lot of questions related to that, but I would like to address the first one, the most upvoted one. And it has to do with how did you deal with your lack of experience the first time that you got a job? Because it's something that we, in this program, at least, we are very afraid. And you talk about how when you got out of college, you didn't feel like you had enough experience to be in the industry. How did you manage to defeat that, let's say?
I think something I was thinking about when I prepared this presentation is that, for example, it's the first time I include in a presentation or in any kind of way that I studied dance. So basically, you have to be good at building your profile and building your CV, and make it make sense and make it look like you don't have lack of experience, or if you have it, you have other skills that compensate for that. So it's you have probably heard about this, but otherwise it's always useful to go to workshops that help you build your CV. But when you apply for a job, it has to look, or you have to make clear that what you have been doing. If if there are some periods of time where you haven't been programming, for example, in this case, or where you haven't been studying, and you have to explain why, and bring up how that's actually something positive, how that brought some skills that you can apply for that position. You also have to make your CV and your application in general match the specific job you are applying for. So yeah, if you think you can take it and you can go for that position, just take time on preparing the interview and be honest there, and it should work at some point. But as I have mentioned, 90% of my job opportunities and every time I have gotten a job has been through a connection. So also showing yourself active in this kind of events, showing to all your contacts that you are producing, that you are always studying, always forming yourself, always learning and trying out new things, will make your connections trust you because they know what you are working on.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's very important to do networking. And related to other side of programming, how it's the experience of finding jobs and studying. Do you have some tips about dealing with this idea that we are not enough prepared, and how much time you should code, how much time you just relax and do something else to avoid burnouts?
Yeah, it is very difficult, both things. One, the thing of feeling you are not enough prepared. I have that feeling constantly. So the best I can do is once in a while I do some planning of things I want to learn and I want to practice, and then I kind of agree with myself on taking time for those. And I know that's mostly all I can do. So while I'm in the period where I cannot have side projects or I cannot be actively studying, a specific course or trying out new technology, well, apart from the ones at work, of course, then I just have to convince myself and say, okay, I will. When I hear these voices telling me I'm not good enough, I just have to say, okay, right now maybe I'm not programming enough, but in 1 month I will have this thing done, and then I can focus on starting this other thing. So basically, don't overthink. Always plan. Make plans that take you where you want to be, and the rest of the time, while you are not working on developing your skills, or for whatever reason you don't have time to focus on your career, or you think you are not doing it enough, just calm down and take care of yourself, and don't worry too much. Like, things will come. It doesn't matter if it takes 1 year or 2. Each person has a different pace. Each person has a different situation. Just always plan for getting there.
Thank you so much. That's really, really good advice. And it's very late, but I would love to ask two questions that are related to your field. And Cyrus is saying that it seems like virtual reality it's kind of complex. So for an aspiring dev like him, what kind of mentality you should develop to focus on this field? And let's start with that one.
I don't know which kind of mentality. It's one thing is you have to believe in the technology because VR is already established as a technology. It's not emergent anymore, but still it's just making its way in the market. Not everybody has a virtual headset at home and so on. But something interesting and that I love and that you should be ready for if you develop for VR is that most of the interactions are not designed yet. So it allows for a lot of creativity on how things work. While with computer games, there is like standards of which key you use for what. In VR, there is a lot of freedom, especially, for example, now Oculus and also other companies are starting to include hand tracking. So that brings interaction to a whole new level. Like, for example, I saw a way of, it has the pinch gesture, for example. So a way of writing by doing like this. So it's like in the old phones. Do you remember where we had one key with ABC, the next one D, E, F, and so on? So you select which key you want, and then you tap 2 or 3 times to select which letter. So be ready for experimenting a lot to see what works with users and what doesn't. Like, for example, sometimes you might want to do something that happens when you're here. And then some headsets only, for example, the Oculus Rift S only track this part of the field of view. So, or because it's where they have the sensors. So then if you program things that you want to happen here on top of when you put your controller and your hand on the part where there are no sensors, it's not gonna work for that headset. So it's a lot of things to keep in mind, but it's really the beauty of it and the challenge. And always be updated of all the new headsets that are coming up, because it's crazy how fast VR is developing.
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, so be creative, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And I see a few questions related to how safe is VR and are there any dangers of playing VR games a lot? That's very cool.
Physical dangers. Not sure. I mean, I'm sure I have a lot of videos online of people breaking their TV and things like that. There was also when the Wii came out and things, everything that involves movement, basically. But yeah, there are a few very serious things. Well, one of them is I'm kind of worried of having a screen in front of my eyes, like really in front of my eyes, for 8 hours per day. Another thing, there are some headsets that are more comfortable, but this one, for example, when I have it for a lot of hours, I really can feel it on my neck, and it kills me because it brings all the weight forward. And then the most common advice you will hear is don't stay too long in it. For example, to our customers, we recommend that they start with 15-minute sessions and then see how they feel from there. And in total, they shouldn't try to be a whole day in VR. You should have meetings that are like in between half an hour and 1 hour. And a very big topic, you can find a lot of information about it with VR, is motion sickness. So you have to be aware on how you teleport, because your brain thinks you're at a place, and then suddenly your avatar moves, and then you see the world moving while you are not moving, and that makes your brain not feel very well. And there are some tips to fight this. Of course, the best one are the ones that imply the design. So designing an application that doesn't create motion sickness. For example, it was great to hear, we had once a person trying our app, and this person said that she usually gets sick even by looking at TV or any screen. And then she tried our app and she was feeling just fine. So that was amazing. And other tricks are when you are moving, but you don't feel it, you can do things like actually step on the side. So your body feels the movement and you hear the sound, and then you feel like you're walking. And of course, all the VR companies include a guardian system in their software. That is, you set up the virtual room and the boundaries you have. So you basically set up the space where you want to be in VR. And then if you get too close to get out of there, you will see a grid. Or in the case of the Oculus Quest, for example, you actually, when you get out of the grid, even if it's only the head, you can see the outside. You can see the real reality. So in that way, being aware of your surroundings and where you don't want to trip, where you don't want to you walk, is very important. Also, before, virtual headsets used to have a lot of wires, so that also made it more dangerous. You had to be aware if you were playing and you were turning around, you wouldn't notice, and you would get maybe trapped on your feet with the wires or something like that. So it's something that by practicing you get to know, but you always have to be careful.
Wow, it sounds like an amazing thing and a lot of details to take care. I would love to answer to ask all the questions, but I don't think we have more time. But you can see Carolina's Twitter and LinkedIn, and I would ask you, if that's okay with you, Caro, that they reach out to you and ask the questions that we couldn't get. We have like a lot and very interesting questions, but we won't be able to answer them today. So that's my option for you.
Yeah, of course. That sounds great. Also, it's very weird talking to just a screen where I don't see you or I don't see anyone. So.
I know, right? I think we should probably should have another edition in the future actually using VR.
Oh yeah,
that would be much
and
more
anyone that wants to try our software and has access to a headset, we have a 1 month free trial. So
that's great. Yeah, we have a lot of people asking about that, the company, how it works, the cost of the services. So I think those questions you can ask her directly, so we can keep the meeting. I think this has been the longest meeting we have. Because people,
but it was really interesting.
Yeah, because people are really interested, and we have a lot of questions. So it was really cool because people are actually interested in this field, And even if I'm not a gamer, I would love to know more because it's a whole new world. So thank you so much for being here, Carol.
Thanks for hosting. It's been a really good experience, and I'm looking forward to get in contact with everyone and keep following Microverse because it's a very cool project.
Yeah, same for the meeting VR. And by the way, for the people watching, anyone who's already in Microverse, if you want to try, like, give a shot at also presenting a webinar like this one, we're going to post a link for applications for hosting in the Slack channel. So you can check that like in 1 minute or so. And if you're not on Microverse, you can check Microverse via the link that should be in the chat. No,
Yeah, it is
wait,
there.
I'm getting there. It's there now.
I posted it.
So we can check. You can check that. And yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
Okay,
Thanks,
awesome.
Carolina.
So see you guys later.
Thank you. See you
Bye-bye.
around. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.